Oh my gosh, man, that's a big buyout. That's a really big buyout. Now, today we are not talking about the buyout that actually happened. TJ Brodie, Chicago Blackhawks, they bought him out because he is so washed, and he's making such a small amount of money. They bought the guy out for a cheaper contract than an ELC. Like, that buyout is in a totally different stratosphere than what we're going to be talking about in this video. Firstly, because that buyout's actually happening, but secondly, because this buyout would be huge. Let's head over onto Frank Seravalli, because he said on the Daily Face-Off live show earlier today that the Buffalo Sabres are looking at a buyout or trade on D-man Mattias Samuelsson. And this is actually shocking news for the Buffalo Sabres. And it's one of these things where I think a lot of Sabres fans are looking at it and saying, hey, wait a minute, this actually might be a good thing. This could actually be the biggest win this organization has had in years. Not because Mattias Samuelsson, the player that we're talking about today, is a bum, he sucks, he's this, he's that. No, it's not that. It's because of the fact that he's making $4.28 million a year till 2030. The guy was signed on to a long-term 7-year contract extension 3 years ago in October of 2022, when he was 22 years old. And a lot of Buffalo Sabres fans went, okay, wait, what? Why are we signing that guy to that deal? Mattias Samuelsson was coming off a season where, just 2 years removed from being the captain of the Western Michigan University NCAA hockey team, he had 10 points in 42 Buffalo Sabres games in that year, and played 22 games in the AHL. Not bad, right? Like, he's an NHL guy, I guess. A point every 4 games is a big, left-handed, more so shutdown D-man. But he signed a long-term extension worth $4.2 million after that season. And many folks were saying, why? What in the world are we doing here? Is this guy really going to become, like, the next big-time defensive specialist who can log minutes and be a $6, $7, $8 million caliber guy? Like, is he Jacob Slavin 2.0? What reason do the Sabres have to go long-term with Mattias Samuelsson at $4.2 million a year, mind you? When he signed that contract, Mattias Samuelsson only had a total of 64 NHL games played, and he had 12 points. In a normal hockey setting, with the understanding of the hockey world that we have today, a 22-year-old shutdown D-man who has only played 60 games with only 12 points, that guy should not be touching a 7-year, $4.2 million deal. Unless you are certain that he is going to become that Jacob Slavin, that Chris Tanev, that top-tier, shutdown, PK specialist D-man. He's not even right-handed. He's a lefty. But unfortunately for Mattias Samuelsson, he did not end up, like, becoming too much better over the next few years. I mean, it's hard to measure defensemen like this with their points, but Samuelsson got 10 points in 55 games the year after, 7 points in 41 games the year after that, and then 14 points in 62 games this most recent season. He has an A on his sweater, leadership kind of guy, but he just doesn't live up to the potential that that contract would imply that he has. And now, we're taking a look at a situation where he could be on the verge of getting bought out. And the reason I'm saying it like that and not saying, oh, he could be traded. That's what they want, right? Trade or buyout. Come on, if you're going to have to talk about buying the guy out, you're not going to get anything for him in a trade. No team's going to look at Mattias Samuelsson and be like, oh yeah, expensive, long-term, left-handed D-man. Sure, he's young. He's only 25 years old, but there hasn't been enough meat on the bone here to really justify that kind of a move for any other NHL team, really. Which is why, if you head over onto the Sabre subreddit and the replies on the tweet, a lot of fans are saying, yes, buy out Samuelsson or trade Samuelsson, hell yeah. One of the top replies on this tweet says that, oh, this would be one of the best signs of life from Buffalo in years, buying out or trading Mattias Samuelsson. And for those who are wondering about the buyout, yeah, if it happens, if he gets bought out, it would be 8 years long. But it is worth noting that since Samuelsson is only 25 years old, it is a cheaper buyout than usual. The player would only get 1/3 of his outstanding base salary rather than 2/3 in a normal buyout. We had the same conversation about Jesperi Kotkaniemi a few days ago, where he is on the cusp of potentially getting bought out for cheap too. Mattias Samuelsson, if you look at a contract, if he does get bought out, then you will see the contract be on the Sabres payroll till 2032-2033. The Sabres will save a lot of money, $3.5 million a year till 2030. And then starting in 2030-2031, for the next 3 years, they'll get a $700,000 cap penalty. It's not that bad, honestly. 3.5 is a lot of money to be saving per year for the next 5 years. And plus, trading or getting rid of Mattias Samuelsson, buying him out, will make things a little bit more clear on defense in terms of Power, Byram, and Dahlin. Look, don't get me wrong, it's probably likely that Byram gets moved as well, so you're just going to have to run with Power and Dahlin. You kind of need to fill the team out with some righties, man. Like, Mattias Samuelsson, I get it that he can play on the opposite side, but, like, it just doesn't really fit, I think, and he hasn't necessarily shown the same growth that you would expect out of a guy to fully take advantage of the contract that he has. I mean, he's playing third pair, too. Mattias Samuelsson was just not a bet that paid off well in the opening few years of that contract. And look, he could use a change of scenery as well. He's still decently young. There is still enough potential where he can be an NHL player long term. In fact, the funniest part is, when you look at the tweet that was made when Mattias Samuelsson signed his contract, at the time, October 12, 2022, he hadn't scored an NHL goal yet. The guy was still there at 0 goals, and he had 12 assists. But if you look at one of the top replies here, O.T. Selly said on October 12, 2022, this is one of those contracts that gets bought out by year 4. What year are we at right now? Huh. The first year of Samuelsson's contract was 23-24. 24-25 just happened. If he gets bought out within the next few months here, he gets bought out in the summer of 2025, it would have been bought out before his year 3 began on the deal. This extension took him from 2023-24 to 29-30. And now if he gets bought out, he'll get on the books till 2033. So, yeah, that's a lot of money here. Long-term commitments for the Buffalo Sabres. If it gets bought out, it's for the next 8 years, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this massive buyout being considered by the Buffalo Sabres, and how would you feel if this were to go through? The fact that some, if not most, Sabres fans are expressing positive responses to this gives me a really big inkling as to how y'all are feeling about this player. But I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section either way. What are your opinions about Mattias Samuelsson? I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.